Welcome back, Wolfpack. Verlis here, and we have a battle from Ben for more Fan Fridays action. Now, I like the idea behind this because I see the Lanturn, and Lanturn's a really cool Pokemon. I think it has a lot of potential power in doubles, and it works as a really good sustain tank on a lot of different team comps. It has Water Absorb for Surf, and then you can also put it on Volt Absorb for an electric team with Discharge. So you do have a lot of diversity. With that Lapras, I see just tanky Surf busting on each other and then gaining a lot of health. So that might be what that's up to, but man, the opponent is not messing around. A Mawile and an Aegislash lead, so it is going to be weak against fire, but there's no Charizard Y, so it's not going to be absurd enough to really mean much. And the Tailwind setup doesn't seem like it's going to benefit the Sableye, but Sableye going to make the safe play, going to Will-O-Wisp the Mawile. That's free right there, just free Will-O-Wisp, but we see the Aegislash is going to be setting up the Swords Dance. So that shows that's not going to be a special Aegislash, so you can Will-O-Wisp Aegislash as well. But the play rough, is it going to be enough damage? Yes, it will. If it was Mega Sableye, it's a survivable hit, but not Mega on that Sableye, so not going to get that down. And Mawile takes a little bit from that burn. So now we get to see what the Talonflame is up to, because that Aegislash is starting to set up those Will-O-Wisp. That could get pretty bad. Or not Will-O-Wisp, the Swords Dances. So unless Talonflame has Will-O-Wisp, Tailwind might see that, we might see the Will-O-Wisp, but we don't, so that's going to be Protect on the Talonflame. Go try to keep itself safe, and Lanturn just going to throw out the Surf. So that makes sense on why it might want to Protect. Not a lot of damage, though, onto the Garchomp or the Aegislash. Aegislash going for another Swords Dance. It wants to one-shot everything, and we're going to see if that can happen. So Aegislash with that stance change, so now it's at a lot of boosting right there, and it goes for the Shadow Sneak, but a +4 Shadow Sneak onto a Lanturn, going to do half, but not going to be enough for the KO, and that means Talonflame gets the easy Flare Blitz, and that's going to be Aegislash going down, so not respecting the tankiness of that Lanturn is what it looks like, and that's just going to be free right there. So interesting how now the Tailwind's starting to come into play for the Lanturn just a bit. Talonflame is going to avoid the Stone Edge, and that is going to be the stockpile on the Lanturn. So defense is going to raise, and it looks like that might be a Scarf Garchomp because it just outsped the Lanturn. Never mind on too much Tailwind benefit, and Greninja comes in. So here's where things are about to get a bit interesting, because Talonflame does have those outspeeds right there. So the Brave Bird going to just go right into that Greninja's face, and it will not be, oh yeah, that's right, support Talonflame with that Protect and Tailwind, but still has the Life Orb, so maybe it's carrying the Overheat or something. If it's not going to like do substantial damage to the Greninja, but Stone Edge is going to land this time, Talonflame goes down. But I don't really think it matters because Greninja's going to get the Dark Pulse, and we're just going to see how well +1 Special Defense Lanturn takes that hit. About 40 damage, so 20% or so of the Greninja, or 20% or so of its health, and Greninja going to take some Life Orb damage as well, and that's going to be the stockpiling. So looking good, the leftover is going to heal up quite a bit. We know Garchomp is stuck on that Stone Edge, and Lanturn is pretty much absolutely shut down. So we're going to see Lapras come in, and here's where that Surf Engine can come through. So Garchomp going to Stone Edge onto the Lapras. Not going to be enough to knock it out. Barely going to do a little over half, and Greninja with the Protean going to go for some stuff, but didn't respect the Water Absorb from the Lanturn. So I guess trying to get that burn onto it, and look at all this Surf shenanigans going on. So the Surf heal from the Lanturn going to heal up Lapras, and it will be enough to take out the Greninja and put a little bit of damage onto the Garchomp. But then all you have to do is watch Lapras. It can go and return the favor. So Lanturn's Water Absorb going to heal up a quarter of Lanturn's health, and suddenly Lanturn gets a ton of health back this turn. And we even get a little more on the leftovers, and it will be enough to critical hit finish the Garchomp. Depends on how invested this Lapras was. It's like hit point special attack, that might have been a KO without the crit, because it would have been a 1-on-1 because the other Pokemon fainted, so it would have been full Surf damage with that stab, and Iron Head on the Mawile, so that's going to not be enough to, I would even without the Will-O-Wisp, that wouldn't have knocked out Lapras. So boom, all that health back from the Surf. Mawile going to get a little bit of damage right there. Now we get to see how much more damage this Lapras can put out. So Lanturn, boom, up to full health, and that's what I mean. You just do like a double Discharge engine or a double Surf engine, and you can get some shenanigans done, and Lapras with a surprising amount of damage, finishing off the Mawile right there. That's right, we have another battle with Ben, but this one looks like it's going to be a bit more difficult. I mean, the Breloom and Bisharp, that's going to be kind of tough. Now, while there aren't directly super effective hits from the Breloom onto the Lanturn, Breloom can use a grass type attack onto Lapras or just spore it and kind of remove it. And then Bisharp does threaten pretty hard with that ice weakness with the water resistance, so it's still going to be a neutral hit. And then knockoff from Bisharp going to go and really do a substantial amount to the Lanturn. Huge hit right there, and Lanturn is going to surf. Lapras didn't take damage, so the rotation kind of falls flat in this situation. Like, yeah, even if it was fake out, like, that'd be a little better, but no, Lapras doesn't get to surf, doesn't get to heal up the Lanturn. Bullet Seed from the Breloom going to try to do some damage to the Lapras. So, guessing Technician on the Breloom, super effective 2 hits, so Lapras does get a little safe on that play. But yeah, if Bullet Seed lands like 3 times, it's going to be more than a Seed Bomb anyways. So you can play it up like that. However, the knockoff double, 2 hits, just 2-hit KO on the Lanturn. Dang. Life Orb Bisharp bringing a lot of offensive power for sure. That's, I guess, maybe the Lanturn's more specially defensive invested, because we saw in that last battle that there is a Sableye, so maybe with the Will-O-Wisp support, something like that, and Talonflame on the field. So Bisharp Sucker Punch going to do a good amount of damage to the Garchomp, about half. Rough Skin and the Life Orb going to be a solid amount of chip damage, however, and Garchomp with the Earthquake. So actually, I can see where all these switches make sense. You know, they're not going to expect an Earthquake from the Garchomp if your Lapras is on the field. So that's a switch into the Talonflame. Talonflame's immune, and then Bisharp goes down to the critical hit that mattered. I mean, Steel-type Pokemon 20% eating an Earthquake from Garchomp needs that crit to go down. But the Bullet Seed from that prediction, switch and thing, whatever, not going to do any damage whatsoever. 3 hits, going to be mega resisted by that Talonflame. And Politoed enters the battle. So here's where things start to get interesting with this Politoed, because it can Ice Beam Garchomp and one-shot it, or it can Scald the Talonflame and still put out a lot of damage. So Talonflame going to go for that Protect in this situation. Garchomp, it's scarfed into that Earthquake, so it might as well use it, is what it seems like, and gets damage onto the Breloom. Critical hit had to have been on that Breloom. Was that enough damage? I didn't notice the damage earlier from that Earthquake. Might have mattered, but the Scald does get absorbed and Politoed takes free damage. So now we can see what Talonflame is up to. Could just go Brave Bird Politoed, call it GG at that point. Try to get some damage on the Mawile with an Earthquake as well. Couple of different options right here that we might keep an eye out for. However, the Intimidate going to lower a lot of power, so that could get serious. And Mega Mawile. So Mega Mawile does have a couple of options. Could just like go for the Play Rough onto the Garchomp. Sucker Punch maybe for Talonflame, and Politoed is going to Protect. So Politoed going to find a bit of safety in this turn. Brave Bird going to get absorbed right there. Garchomp with the Earthquake. It's just going to hit the Mawile. But Mawile, I don't think it's going to go down. The split damage, and it has a bit of defense. So yeah, looks like a hit point attack invested Mawile in that situation. And that is going to be the Rock Slide. So Talonflame definitely going down from that Mawile's Rock Slide. Wow, I was not expecting that. So either doesn't have Swords Dance and it just like all offensive moves, or yeah, it just has the Rock Slide and it made it work. Because I mean, it does do pretty well against Talonflame with that. And now Lapras enters the battle. So Mawile going to be the one protecting this turn. It doesn't want to go down, but that does leave a lot of opportunity for the Politoed to get some work done. So we know Politoed isn't going to go down to this Earthquake, even with a crit. Like, the opponent had it. So Scald on to the Garchomp, going to finish it off right there, and that is going to be Garchomp going down. So now Mawile feels a bit safer, and Lapras, it keeps napping. So that's what we're dealing with in this. And Leftover is going to heal up Politoed a bit. So the opponent's team running pretty solid, and it's just Lapras. Okay, so Politoed with that helping hand on to the Mawile. Lapras is going to wake up and outspeed? Okay. So with the Surf onto the Mawile, going to knock out Mawile as well. Oh, I thought there was going to be like some kind of miraculous survival or something, but no. How did that happen? Like, okay. So I know the rain would have actually boosted the Surf damage enough to probably knock out the Mawile, but it got the outspeed, so that's crazy. And Lapras does have Freeze Dry. So yeah, Freeze Dry going to be awesome in this situation against the Politoed. Rain wears off, so the damage is going to be lessened. And that is going to be Scald, just healing Lapras. So yeah, don't Scald a Lapras or a, whatchamacallit, Lanturn. Because Lanturn, unless you know it has that Volt Absorb, unless you can like really get a feel for it with a lot of electricity in the air, don't scald it. You're not going to burn it. You're not going to get enough effect out of it. So you're just going to heal it up, and that's going to be enough for the freeze dry 2 KO. So, wow, that battle turned around real quick in a really interesting way. But I hope you guys enjoyed all of these battles from Ben, showing off Lanturn and Lapras. Doing work, and then we also have the Talonflame and Garchomp Sableye. So good stuff overall. Hope you guys enjoyed these battles, and I hope you guys get ready for some more Fan Fridays